Hello, everybody. I am so excited to be here and share my new release with you. One of the first parts of the new release is my paper doll stencil set, and it is comprised of 3 stencils. You get 1, 2, and 3. So I've been thinking about doing this for a long time since I had so much fun doing paper dolls for the 100-day project and as the fodder school freebie. And I just thought it would be a really fun collection for people to have. And I designed it so that for people who like to have a focal point in their mixed media work where it's a figure or a person, but they're not confident about drawing or drawing faces, which can be very difficult for people, I created these stencil sets to kind of work for that kind of art making. It's very simple. And what I want to do today is show you the different styles. And then I want to show you some tips and tricks on how to get some really, really simple faces on your paper dolls. It's super, super easy. And I practiced for the couple different styles that I think everybody could do so that it would eliminate a lot of frustration for people who are new and beginners at drawing faces. The other thing too is the idea is that these are abstract, so they don't have to be perfect or super, super realistic. And they're also designed to just be used as the silhouette itself, and you don't have to add a face to it at all. So there's a lot of options. So what I want to do is show you each stencil and what you can make. And then I'm going to give you some tips and tricks on how to work with some faces on your paper dolls. So this is the first one I designed. And I kind of gave her a shorter hair or an updo, perhaps. It kind of looks like a bun. And these two, this one and the curly girl, these two both have some little designs here that you can go back in and add to your paper dolls, like some little details. So you have some marks here, and these branches kind of look like coral to me. So I just thought it would be another fun thing to kind of add to your paper doll. So, you know, for these you have the branches that you can play with. You can put the wavy lines in different places on your paper doll. So I just thought that would be fun to kind of add with the little set. So for this one, I started with acrylic paint, so I thought I would show you how to make all of these with acrylic. I almost always use a Ranger Mini blending tool and a foam and, you know, some paint. I always use the Dina Wakley paint from Ranger, and I just literally lay it down and, you know, stencil it on the paper. So for these, I use watercolor paper just because they're a little thicker. And, you know, I wanted to play with watercolors with them. So, but you can actually do them on a cardstock as well, or just regular paper. It doesn't really matter. I just wanted them to hold up well while I was demoing them and kind of really playing around. So and as you can see, all their faces are very simple, kind of loose faces, kind of abstract looking. Some of them you know, might have something covering their eyes. Maybe I didn't do a good job, or I didn't like the way the eyes turned out, but it's also another fun way to kind of add like a mask to your paper dolls or something unique. You could actually experiment and make a mask, which would be fun. And it's just like super, super cool. I didn't even really get too far with decorating these because I just wanted to kind of showcase the actual stencils. But you can, once you've got your shape here, you can really play around with doing all kinds of different prints and fabrics. I have some handmade collage papers that I used for their tunics. And everybody has a tunic, which again is another simple shape if you're not super knowledgeable about how to draw the figure. I'm not, so everybody has a tunic. So and it's just easy, it keeps it simple. And the fun thing about the stencils themselves is once you get them down there, you can actually play with the hairline. So like for this one, I got her set up, I put her clothes on, and then I kind of took a black paint pen and added longer hair before I cut it out. So, you know, you have lots of options in playing with the hair and the faces and all that. And again, you can do these just simple as a silhouette on a piece of paper, and it will look super, super cool. So you can just keep it simple and not put a face at all and just cut it out and then start building on the front, however you want to add to the clothing. So one of my first ones, I really, really loved it. And the second one is a little larger. So this one, my prototype was much, much bigger, but the difference between designing a prototype and then sending it off to get reworked at the stencil company is a little different. So my prototypes are a lot bigger, which are handy for the videos because then you can see more of the details. So she is actually about 6 inches tall, I would say. And this one will come out. This is the one that I cut. And I just traced her out, and I added the flowers, and you know, you can make the tunics as long as you want. This is actually longer than the stencil because I wanted it a little longer. So you can play around with the lengths for sure. And you can also play around with the hair. So very similar to the other one. You know, I stenciled it out here, same thing with this one. I stenciled it out, same stencil, but then when I went to cut it out, I cut more of a bun shape and I added a bun on top just for fun. And in this one, I stenciled the shape. You can see the hairline there. And then I went back and added some longer hair to it as well. So just another fun way to kind of play with the stencils. And really have fun with it. I gave this one earrings, and again, I was using a lot of my collage papers. You know, it's fun to put something in their hair or give them colored hair, or just do something monochromatic like this one. This is my favorite one from this set. I can't decide. I like these two a lot. But anyway, just super, super fun. And again, like my prototypes are much bigger. So, you know, just remember when you get the stencils, they're going to be this size. My prototype is a lot bigger. So, and the last one I almost did a half face, which I thought would be cool. So it was almost a drawing stencil. It gave you all the basics and you could do it. It just didn't come out quite right. So at the very last minute, I discovered, wait a second, why don't I do something with curly hair? Because curly hair is never anywhere. You just don't see it a lot. And I also thought it would be great to have a stencil that lent itself to more diversity for your paper dolls, as opposed to just having someone with straight short hair or straight long hair. And, you know, truth be told, this was my silhouette circa 1992. I always had big curly hair, and I was very proud of that. So I wanted to have one that was a little different and lent itself to a more diverse paper doll. And again, these prototypes are going to be a lot bigger. except for these guys. These are the actual size. So you can see here, this is the size. But it's nice to have the big ones so I can just show you some of the details. And again, just doing like really simple faces here. This one reminds me of Lucille Ball a little bit, her face. Just really simple details. Again, it can be fun to just do something monochromatic and keep it really simple, but I had so much fun playing with them. Some of them I gave red hair. I had red hair in the 90s. That was the hair color of choice for me. So just kind of playing. I actually did a metallic hair, which was kind of fun. This lady got a crown. So I thought that was fun to add like a cool hat. This lady got a really cool kind of, I don't know, like a 1920s Erte headdress or a Gustav Klimt kind of look. This is my favorite one from the bunch. I just love her. And again, I'm going to show you the techniques for how I got these faces. I really worked hard to get some faces that I think everybody can do that are easy. So I'll give you a little quick tutorial on that. And again, you can use these stencils as a silhouette on something printed if you want, and just leave it like that. You've got a paper doll right there. You don't have to put a face on them. You can keep it really simple and it's still super, super fun. So you can really play with it. I gave this one some positive wording on her eyes too, and just experimenting with different styles. I loved making these. The other thing I did with these, and you could do it with any of the paper dolls, but I'm just going to give you the one sample here, is doing them with watercolors and doing a more abstract face. So this kind of face is more of a template kind of face. It's the same kind of shape every time. And it just kind of yields a different look altogether. So I thought this was like another fun way to go. I added some of my hands, birds, and flower stencils to these, which I just ordered more of today. I wasn't going to do any more because I wanted to focus on these, but so many people asked if I was going to do more, so I just figured I should. So I did order some more. And sometimes faces emerge. When I did this one, she kind of reminded me of Maya Rudolph. Maya Rudolph. And this one reminded me of me. So I'm going to show you how to do these too if we have enough time. So that is what you can do with these paper dolls. But I mean, there's so many options, like so many. But I want to show you some things that are helpful, especially if you're new to drawing. So with any of the paper dolls, one of the first ways I started out is to use a Stabilo All pencil. And it's a water-soluble pencil, like a watercolor colored pencil. So, you know, you use it, and when you get it wet, it kind of blends like paint. Okay, so I use those for most of my paper dolls, especially with the faces, because this Dina Wakeley always calls this the magic pencil, and it really kind of is, because if you just use a little bit of water, it kind of does all the work for you. So what I did is, you know, for a lot of these, I traced my outline. So actually I haven't done the Stabilo so much tracing with these, so I'll try this one instead of the Curly Girls. And, you know, I just kind of draw a face on the bottom. This isn't an exact kind of drawing. It's supposed to be abstract. And I might go in and connect my lines if, you know, I feel like I want that. And basically, when you do any faces, the eye line is always at the middle. So if you were to like cut your oval in half, the eye lines are going to be right in the middle. And you would cut this space in half again, in half again. Okay. And that's it. I just put some little spaces there, and I'm just going to do like a more abstract situation here for you. And you can just start gently playing with the pencil, and you just get a very kind of abstract looking face. Nothing too crazy. And you know, you can really experiment with, this is simple, this is super abstract, but it's cool, it's plain, it's simple, and you can totally go with that. You can add another eyebrow if you want. You kind of keep it loose, and my feeling with this process is less is more. And it's a really easy formula to stick to. But what you want to avoid is doing something like this and spending a whole bunch of time on your paper doll's body, and then go to do the face and decide, I really don't like how that turned out, and then boom, you gotta toss it, right? These stencils really are great for practicing faces too. So what I did after like the fourth time, I like spent all this time on the body, and then when I got to the face, I messed it up, right? What I recommend, especially for beginners who are still kind of learning, is just take a stencil, it can be any of them, and just repeat it several times. You don't have to do the whole body if you want to kind of work on your face. You can just cut part of it in half, and I'll show you in a minute. Let's see, let me find one. You can work on your face, get a face that you like, and just cut off the torso, and then you can add on top of that. And if you want to incorporate these details back in, you can come back in with a paint pen or doodle and add them back into your paper doll. But when you cut out the shape for the body, you can just cut out here first and put it over top your torso. So that way you can really spend some time experimenting with your faces, because you know, this trick that I'm showing you, it doesn't take long, it just takes minutes, right? So you know, in a couple of minutes you'll know, I kind of messed up that face, I don't love it. And you only have to keep the ones you love, and you don't have to spend so much time. Like if there's really, you know, if you get the ones you like and you keep those, and you know, you can flip your watercolor paper over and, you know, do some more that you like on the other side. But this is a great way to work if you're just starting out, so that you're not building a beautiful paper doll and then you make a face that just scares you or looks like it's melting or something. So now the other trick I want to show you, so I showed you a more kind of loose abstract face, but it works, it totally works, right? It's simple, nothing too detailed, but you got to figure there, and you can build on the paper doll. And I always say to people too, once you cut this out and you start going on the clothing, it all kind of comes together, you know, like this face here might have not been the most awesome face in the world, but once I cut her out and then I added some clothes on her, it really kind of came together. So just be patient with yourself if you're just starting out. And again, I must repeat, you do not have to do faces at all. You can keep them simple. The shapes are there. You don't even need to do a face. This is just if you want to learn. So here is my other simple formula for a slightly less abstract face. Again, you cut that shape in the middle, and you can use a color pencil at first if you want, and very lightly make a crescent or a smile shape like that. And then right where the nose is, you make a smaller one. And then right below that, I just do like a little bumpy line. That's it. That's all I do. If I want eyebrows, I could do it two ways. I could go as soft and gentle, like gently as possible, like super, super light. These pencils are bold. So like if you push down really hard, look at that. That's pretty intense. So they're super strong, so you don't need to press really hard. So I'm gonna go in, I'm gonna lower this camera, okay, so you can kind of get a better feel for the detail. And what I do is I wet my brush like this, and then I dry it a little on a paper towel that I have right under my jar. So I just go, and then I go underneath the little smiley line for the eyes. And immediately, look at that. It starts making the eyelids for you, right? It's pretty crazy. So what I'll do then, there's a lot of water here, is I'll dry off the brush and I'll just go on top a little bit. Okay, just real gently. And look at that. All of a sudden, you kind of have eyelids going on. It's abstract. This isn't realistic. And then I don't even dip my brush at this point. I want it fairly dry. I'm going to the nose, and on the end of this part of the little half moon shape, I'm just going to kind of pull out 2 circles on either side, and then just kind of pull the middle of the nose down. Okay, and then that's it. So it's creating some shading. And then for the lips, I'm gonna go in, again, I'm not really wetting my brush here, and just make a lip shape, right? Be as big or small as I want. I always do less is more. And then instead of making a bottom lip, I've learned that if you do another circle like that, it gives you your bottom lip. Look at that. It's so easy. The only thing that's hard in this process is just kind of learning what the pencil does. So you could always practice first. And if it comes out darker than you want, like this eyebrow is way darker than the other one, you can just blot it. And like in this little corner here, it's a little darker. So I could come back in and try to mute it. But what I end up doing often is I let this dry, and then I'll come back in with often just like a mechanical pencil and kind of add more detail so that it's a little more congruent, you know, to my liking. And for, you know, if you want to have some shading on the neck, I just kind of use, I always just go, it's a formula, right? So I'm going from the left a little bit, and then I make like a diagonal line, kind of collecting some of the pencil here and darkening it. So it just gives you some nice shading. That is why I love using this pencil, because it really kind of does all the work for you. And I'll just kind of play with it on the hair, depending on what I want to do. So in the other samples, I only used the Stabilo for the face, and I did acrylic for my stenciling. So I put this down and did the acrylic paint first, and then I came back in and did the Stabilo. So, and you don't always have to wet it. You can blend the Stabilo too if you want to do it that way. And then once it's dry enough, I might go in and just add a little more definition there with a pencil. Like I could go here with the eyebrows if I want, and add some little eyelashes, which kind of add to it. And that's it, you know. Maybe I'll add some cheeks just because they're paper dolls and they're fun, so why not? You know, a light color there. You could change the color. And that's it. I've got a paper doll that came out how I like. I would go through and cut this out and then build it. I guess I can just show you real quick. Cut it out and build on this using my stencil and some printed papers. I'm not going to do a crazy job here cutting this out. I'm just going to do it kind of loose. And that's it. You've got a really cool paper doll face, right? I love her. And that's it. Like, it's super simple. So I wanted to just kind of show you. And that's what I did with all of them. So the same thing I did here. I love this face. It looks like my friend Lynn. And they come out different every time, you know. Some come out a little weirder. It really just depends. But it's a great technique and super easy. With these ones where it's more of a kind of a uniform shape, this one's a slightly different style. All I did was a very similar principle, and I did it with watercolors instead. So I got some watercolors going, and I just, same thing, I did the 2 smiley lines, and I made 1 eyebrow. This is a thicker brush than I usually use. And just kind of a longer nose and some lips, and that's it. Easy peasy, right? The shape would be 2 half lines, an eyebrow, nose kind of thing, and some lips. And that's kind of it. Same thing. And it looks weird now because this shape is thicker or whatever, but again, it's more of an abstract thing, so it doesn't really matter. It looks cool just like that. So I'll show you one more time with this style. I'll do a different color. Let me get a smaller brush too, because really for this I used a much smaller brush, so let's stick to the same size as I used. Okay, so I have a much smaller brush now. But same kind of thing, right at the halfway point. I'm just doing 2 half eyes, a nose, and then a mouth like that. Simple, super simple shape. You can do a second eyebrow if you feel so inclined. It's really up to you. Easy peasy shapes. And again, you've got your face done, super easy. So those I did a much softer option. If you're interested in that kind of face, instead of using the Stabilo pencil, which is very bold, I just used mechanical pencil to trace my stencil, and then I did the watercolor. So it's all kind of very soft and light. And I played with watercolors on their dresses and stuff. I used some of my older stencils. So that was like another kind of a different style altogether, as opposed to doing, you know, collage papers. You could just do one that's all collage, watercolor, creating the collage. So, I hope that gave you some ideas of how to use these. You know, the only thing I didn't try, which if somebody tried, that would be super cool, is, you know, you could go through magazines and take your stencils and hold it over, because they're kind of sheer, and you could hold it over people's faces. And if it's a good fit, you could take your pencil and trace it over the face, and or even take like black acrylic paint and stencil your shape around the person's face and cut out their face, and then build a paper doll that way too. So, but you can see like these are drying and they come out really cool, and it's just another option. And you know, I think having their eyes closed most of the time just makes it a little bit easier. You know, they're sleepy, they're contemplative. I know I'm sleepy all the time, so it's fairly accurate. And again, you know, you could do the more abstract, like play with it so it looks like their eyes are open. But I highly recommend the Stabilo pencil or a watercolor pencil, and those come in many colors, so it could be fun to play with a colored watercolor pencil, or, you know, playing with watercolors or watered down acrylic paint, there's just so many options. So I hope you have fun with these, and always tag me if you do. I have a hashtag that I keep forgetting to use called Meg's Stencils. So if you create something with the stencils, use this hashtag and I'll see it. And I can share what you're making. So please enjoy these. These are like the funnest thing I have made yet. And I'll be back in another video to talk about my forest floor stencils. Okay, thank you so much. Have fun.